So I was just going to introduce the topic. So, awesome. All right, so thank you all for coming and for watching. The Wealth Committee today is bringing you Christine to talk about self-directed IRAs and probably more than that, but that was the main gist of what we wanted to talk about today. And I just want to thank Jenny for getting this organized and set up. And I'm going to let her introduce Christine.
Okay. So this is Christine Brady. She's a financial advisor here in Arlington. She's been doing this for quite a while, and I think she has a wealth of knowledge that offer for us as agents and how we can help our clients as well. So,
Thank you.
Does she need the microphone to hold this?
She has one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for the very warm welcome. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Christine. I am a financial advisor. Edward Jones is my firm. And I like to say I partner directly with clients in their financial decisions, challenges, wins, and everything in between. Part of my job is also as an kind of educator, and that's what I'm doing today. In different, our topic today will be IRAs. Okay, so we're going to look at a few different things. We're going to look at all the different types of IRAs that are out there, and then also go over some kind of advantages, disadvantages of some options, and then we'll have time for questions. So I will get started. Okay, so for the first thing, we're going to start off with the different types of IRAs. We've got traditional, Roth, SEP IRA, a simple IRA, an inherited IRA, and then self-directed IRA. Self-directed is where we're going to spend the most time talking, so I'm going to save that one for last. The traditional IRA, I guess first, is show of hands of who's familiar with, at least familiar with an IRA, have heard the term before. Yes? Okay. All right. So the majority of the time you're going to hear, when people talk about IRAs, you're going to hear traditional and Roth. That's pretty much what they're talking about, okay? And pretty much the big difference between those two is how the contributions are made, okay? With a traditional, you're taking money and it's taking it off of your income at the end of the year and you're putting that in, okay? The maximum for 2026, the contribution amount is $7,500. That goes for the Roth too, $7,500, okay? And again, the difference with the Roth, that's after tax. So you're taking that, you're not getting any kind of tax break. But at the end of, let's say when you retire, that money that you are then saying, okay, actually I want to start taking some money out so I can live on it. You're taking that money out tax-free because you've already paid taxes on it, okay? Another difference with the traditional, you are required to take something called RMDs, which is a required minimum distribution when you get to be 73 and a half. It may not matter right now, not even thinking about it, but as you get closer, you're going to look and say, okay, I'm getting close to having to take my required distributions. I haven't paid tax on any of that money, so that's all just sitting there, money that I'm going to have to take out and pay taxes on. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind between those two. Again, the difference between traditional and Roth is just the tax treatment, okay? And with my clients, I advise to set up both because both of them serve a purpose, okay? Next is the SEP and the simple, and I'm going to kind of group those together as well. The big difference between the SEP and the simple is the amount that can be contributed. I have a handout on this that I'll also pass out too, so you have that. But it's specifically for business owners, so like yourselves. The SEP, like I said, the main thing is going to be the contribution limit. So a SEP, your contribution limit is $72,000. And for these, you're contributing as an employer, okay? So your max that you can contribute is $72,000. The simple is $17,000. So a lot of people will start with a simple because it's just a lower contribution limit. You may not need a SEP right away. So they'll start with the simple and hit the max on that one, okay? And again, both of these, you are contributing as the business owner, okay? There's really no, you can have employees, but it's pretty rare. Typically it's more designed as a business owner plan, okay? The inherited IRAs, okay? You guys are gonna be pros at knowing about IRAs after this. So the inherited, that is not real common. It's pretty much if a spouse, grandparent passes away and the person that is the beneficiary for that is receiving it as inherited. Okay, again, it's just not very common, but just so that you know what that term is. And then finally is the self-directed. So this is the fun one. There's actually quite a bit to talk about on this one. So I am going to, let's see. Okay, well, here's where we're at with that one. So I'm going to list out here. We're just going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of self-directed IRAs because the reason that they are very, very attractive to a lot of people is that they invest in, the money can be invested in different things. So whereas your traditional that we talked about in the Roth, it's mainly stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that's going to be the bulk of those investments. Your self-directed can be in a lot of different things. So it can be in cryptocurrency, it could be real estate, it could be in private equity deals. There's a lot of different things that IRA can be invested in, okay? So for the first thing that, and I'm just gonna write all this out so that you have it and can take notes on this. So for the advantages, like I pointed out, it's the investments. The idea of being able to invest in real estate. I mean, that's a huge advantage. Okay, the investments. So it can even invest in land. That's another thing. Commercial property, rental properties, okay? So that's a big thing. The next thing, tax advantages. So this goes right along with the fact that it is an IRA. There's tax advantages associated with an IRA. Specifically with a traditional, if you're still doing a traditional, those taxes are deferred. It works just like an IRA. You're deferring taxes, okay, until it's withdrawn from the account. All right. Next is asset diversification. I'm sorry, I hope y'all can read all this. I was a teacher a long time ago, and I haven't written on a board like this in a long time. Okay, asset diversification. Okay, so this is the idea that your non-traditional assets, like real estate and land and commercial property, they have low correlation with the stock market. So that's mitigating risks with market volatility. So when the market is kind of going crazy, we know real estate is a good investment to kind of counter that, okay? Now, next one. Well, this is actually the last one. You are the pilot. Okay, so when I'm talking to people about retirement strategies, one of the questions I ask them is, do you want to fly the plane, or do you want somebody else to fly the plane and you sit in first class and relax and know you're going to get there, okay? That's determining how I'm going to work with them, right? If they want to sit in first class and relax, then I know that they're expecting me to be the fiduciary and handle all of their accounts and make sure that they get to where they're going. So in the case of a self-directed IRA, you are going to be the pilot, okay? There is nobody there telling you, oh, that's going to put you out of alignment, that's this type of investment. You're controlling all of that, okay? So I put that as an advantage because that could be an advantage. I'm also going to put it in the disadvantage, but it is an advantage in this case, is you are in control, okay? I'm going to put... Okay, so now let's move to the disadvantages. Okay, the first thing, you've got something that's called prohibited transactions. There's a lot involved in this line right here, but basically this is stating that you, in dealing with a self-directed IRA, you have to be very careful in working with disqualified persons. So that means your spouse, for example. So spouses, kids, grandparents, anybody like that. You can't take that piece of property, let's say it's a house and it's on the beach. Oh, it's a great vacation property. You can't do that. You can't take that and allow your spouse, kids, grandparents to use that as a vacation spot. Okay, that is absolutely not allowed. That's a prohibited transaction. Next thing, expenses. This actually goes along with this one. So what this means is you have to be very, very careful in, so let's say something like a gutter, a part of the gutter came off on a rental property that you bought with an IRA, okay, part of the gutter, whatever. It's a simple fix. You can do it easily, whatever. You can't do that, okay? You cannot buy any material. You cannot even purchase a screw that is not out of your IRA. So let's just say you're at Home Depot, it's $5. You need to spend $5 and get a screw to be able to fix this gutter. You can't do that. You cannot use any money out of your own pocket that's not coming from the IRA to do any repair at all, okay? And it sounds like, okay, I can understand that. It's just, it gets very, very sticky. Again, you're at Home Depot. It's a simple fix. You just can't do that, okay? So you have to, so what the, what the solution is to keep in mind is you have to pay a professional, even if it's a simple fix, you have to pay a professional to fix that gutter, and the funds must come out of the IRA to pay them, okay? All right. Next one, same, this kind of goes along with this one right here. There is no advisor with these accounts. So what it is, there are, they call them custodians. They call them custodians, so that's how you open up this account, okay? And basically what they do is help you with the paperwork, the administrative part of it. Okay, here you're funding this. They're not going to advise you on anything. They're, they're leaving you, they're doing all the admin stuff, and then you're kind of on your own, okay? And on the same sense, since there's no advisor assigned, there's no your best interest in mind. Like if it's a bad deal, if it's something, nobody's going to look at it and say, oh man, that's probably not a good idea, okay? So just, that's definitely something to keep in mind. The same sense, which you wouldn't think would be the case, but the fees. So with traditional or Roth IRAs, you know exactly what those fees are. Like it's spelled out. They're reasonable and customary, fees associated with that. With self-directed, the fees can be whatever the holding company wants it to be. There could be transaction fees, account setup fees, a processing fee, an annual fee. Even I've seen fees per asset in your account. So just keep that in mind, that there could be a lot of fees associated with that. This is not necessarily a disadvantage. It's just something to keep in mind that RMD. Okay, so how I mentioned with the traditional IRAs, you have to start taking RMDs at 73 and a half. Okay, that's with a traditional. You still have that with a self-directed. Now, the thing to keep in mind with that is you've got to have cash available to take that. If you're looking at a IRA with $500,000 in it because of a real estate transaction, that's going to be a pretty hefty RMD. And so just making sure that the cash is easily accessible is something to kind of keep in mind there.
Christine, quick question.
Yeah.
Can you remind us, what is RMD?
It stands for Required Minimum Distribution. And that is the case with traditional, not with Roth. Roth, you don't have to take any money out, okay? Roths do not have that RMD, okay? Here's something, not the last thing, but so an attractive thing with real estate, I'm sure y'all can speak to it way more than me, but is being able to depreciate the assets, okay? So in doing this with like a self-directed IRA, you're just going to miss out on those tax breaks, okay? Because a IRA by nature is tax deferred anyway. So you don't have the opportunity to depreciate things, to claim deductions for repairs, mortgage interest, property losses, anything like that. So that's one thing. I mean, that's definitely, like I said, I know y'all can speak to that way more than I probably could, but yeah.
Okay, so you can't depreciate or do any depreciation on your asset in the IRA, even on your distributions?
Even on your distributions, yes, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Because again, you're buying it with your, tax deferred money anyway. So that's what it's looking at, is saying.
Is that the only tax advantage that you're going to get with a self-directed IRA is deferred taxes?
Yeah, and it will, again, I think to me it comes up because, and I think Dorinda and I first had this conversation about this because people are sitting on IRA. You're sitting on 401k money, right? It could be people coming off of a job, whatever they're doing. They want to start investing in real estate. If that's what they're going to leverage, then yeah, you can roll it into a self-directed and be able to buy real estate with it. That's where it kind of came up initially. Now, I'm a little, this is something that's, yeah, there's some advantages to it, but the list of disadvantages just kind of keeps going on. And that's why I'm just kind of presenting the information. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not going to direct you either way. I can direct you where to go if this is something that it turns out, yes, I would like to do this. I can absolutely direct you where to go. But if you tell me, actually, Christine, I want some more information, I'll help you out. Okay? Okay. The last thing I'm going to point out on this end is you do lose liquidity here. So, and again, I know y'all can speak to the real estate aspect on this as far as not being liquid. However, IRAs are liquid. So that's a disadvantage in that regard, is that the traditional or Roth IRA, there's liquidity involved. It's stocks and bonds and mutual funds. You're going to be able to get that out regardless. With a self-directed IRA, if you've got it invested in real estate, you're just losing some liquidity because it's not going to be as easy to get the money from that as it would be with a traditional or a Roth. Okay.
And is that because it is real estate until it's sold, and then that money has to go back into that account?
Exactly. Yeah. That's just the nature of what the investments are. Yeah.
Can the self-directed Roth, can the account hold actual funds, so there's no liquidity funds being able to be held in that account?
You could, absolutely. Yes, you could take a portion of it and just put it into, stocks or something, so you have that money available. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Can you take a loan against money, your assets in your IRA, in your self-directed?
So in your self-directed, that is a very good question. And there's differing...
I'm trying to avoid paying taxes, okay, at all. So if I take a distribution, then I have to pay taxes. However, if I take a loan against the asset in the IRA, I shouldn't have to pay taxes on that.
You should not have to pay, yeah, you shouldn't. And so it's the same sense, because I would say no, because you don't have to, because it's the same sense in the other options actually that we're going to talk about aside from self-directed is doing like a margin loan. Doing a margin loan against the IRA or doing a reserve line of credit against the IRA. So those would be other options,
Well,
and
that would go under advantages then.
Do what?
That would go
Yeah,
under
it would,
advantages.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely put that as a, you could do loans. Yep.
So that would count as taking your RMD? Would that replace that? So then you wouldn't have to take your RMD?
No, it really won't, because it's going to function in a different way. Yeah.
Why there's an RMD? They want their tax money.
Yeah, and it's they're,
Before it's too late.
exactly, yes, and even if you're doing, doing like a Roth conversion, you'll hear that. That's kind of, people are talking about that a lot nowadays. I mean, you're still paying the taxes on that. So the way that that's working, just so that you know, is you're taking money that, say you've got a lot of money in a pre-tax account. It could be a 401k, it could be a traditional IRA, and your advisor is sitting there going, oh man, you've got a lot of pre-tax money. So when you retire, you're going to have to start taking distributions off that. Those distributions could be $40,000 a year. And if it's in danger of putting that person into a higher tax bracket, which it could, I've seen that happen, they will start converting it at this tax bracket that the individual is at, okay, to avoid paying the taxes over here when they're in a different tax bracket. So it's just a way to think ahead on what it's going to look like when you are sitting in retirement and having to, you get more money in than you thought you were going to get in, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Just forward thinking on that, at that age of 73 and a half, at 73 and a half, that's cut and dry, period. I was just thinking, if you had to take money from that, could you reinvest at that age, or then will you have to start drawing from both because of your age, or is there any benefit? Like you said, if I was looking at it and I'm like, I'm going to lose a ton of money pulling this out, put in this different tax bracket, what if I just take it here and reinvest again and just wait for the kids or whatever the case may be?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and you can do anything you want with that money. Let's again say it's $50,000 that you're required to take out. you can do anything with it. It's just if you're not working, it can't go back into an IRA. Okay, so but brokerage account, I mean, you can do anything to invest it again. You can put it right back into the market.
That was my question, was
Yeah.
could it go back into an IRA?
No, not an IRA. Yeah, because IRA you have to have earned income. So if you haven't retired, but that's an option. But I mean, by that, yeah, I mean, we don't see that very often. So yeah, if you've retired, then no, you can't. Yeah.
I had another question too on your previous page. I forgot all the different circles there, but I heard you mention like multiple groups were similar. I think the difference was like pre-tax, post-tax on a lot of them.
Get the back here. Sorry.
And so traditional, you said the maximum you could put in was about 7,000 or something for this year, and then the Roth was how much?
So it's 7,500 for both the traditional and the Roth.
So you could do 7,500 each, right? Because you were
No, in one.
in one. Okay, because I thought you said that you were telling or mentioning to your clients to invest in both styles. Was that right?
Oh no, I said both styles. Yes, it's very important to do both, but it's still splitting that amount.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
1 year this, next year that, or split, or you can't just double dip is kind of what I was saying.
I
Like,
know, you
Okay.
cannot. No, and a lot of times if people are contributing to a 401k at work or something, then that's pre-tax. So I'd say, well, let's just do a Roth on this end and just put the 7,500 in there. Now you do have, if you're over 59 and a half, you can do a $1,100 catch-up. So that brings it to 8,600 for 2026. Now that amount historically has been going up. So, just kind of keep that in mind, but it's 7,500 for that contribution.
Sorry, another question.
Yeah.
So what's again, because I'm very new to this, I know surface level stuff, but if we're putting in our money post-tax, right? Like it's already been taxed, this is my money, I should be getting all this back. What is the purpose of putting it in? Is it going to be accruing interest while it's there? Other than that, what would be the difference than just having a savings account, if it's already post-taxed? I get the pre-tax, that makes sense depending on what you're making for income. But what's the strength in the post-tax part?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you would do it because a Roth, any of these IRAs that you see, they're all invested in the market, right? Self-directed as well. I mean, it goes for that too if you're electing to do some of it into the market. So you get the benefit of being in the market. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, just a wide range of investments that's all geared toward what you want. Are you aggressive? Are you maybe not so aggressive, but you have a really long time horizon? Everything, I mean, that's why people have, there's advisors that can say, okay, this is what I recommend because your time horizon is this. These are the investments that are going well. There's so many stocks that are doing great right now. It just, we would kind of look at that and adjust as needed. So that's the benefit, is that yes, you get a whole breadth of investments. Okay. Now to do a Roth, if you're thinking, oh man, I think I kind of want to do that. I want to just take care of the taxes now at this tax rate because I think I'm going to be making more later on, right? And just pay it now. So you still get deferrals on all of the growth. Okay. So whereas with let's just say you have a normal brokerage account. Why don't I just put it in my normal brokerage account? Why would I put it in my Roth? Well, your normal brokerage account, yes, it'll grow, and even if it's still invested in the same stuff as this one, it's going to grow, but you're going to get a 1099 at the end of the year with all that growth. You're going to be responsible for paying taxes on all that growth, whereas with a Roth, you're not. It's just going to keep growing. It's deferred.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why you would do a Roth, but
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. What questions? I do have, okay, so if there's we can come back, and of course we'll have more time for questions at the end too. There are other options if you are thinking, you know, kind of weighing the differences between the self-directed and what's all involved and just things to keep in mind. I'm not saying not do it, just be aware of these things, right? I mean, I think it serves a place, it's just things to know. That's why I was asked to come and talk to y'all so that you would know kind of the differences between these things. So there are some options if the self-directed wasn't necessarily for you. You could also do, and I think we kind of alluded to this a little bit ago, but a margin loan against the securities, okay? So if you do have, or if somebody you know has a 401k sitting there, they can roll that into a traditional IRA or Roth, depending on if they want to do that, and then take a margin loan against that. And margin loans could be 50%, up to 50% with flexible repayment terms as well. So that's also very attractive. Another option is it's a reserve line of credit, and the loan on that one's a little bit higher. I've got between 65 and 75% of the value of the securities. Now the minimum on that one is $51,000 that has to be taken out. Okay, so you can just kind of do the math and see how much the securities would need to be worth, okay? And that one is also flexible repayment terms on that one too. So you've got a couple of options that may work, okay, for that one. And I have some materials, like I said, up here. If anybody wants information on these, I'm gonna leave them here. Are there any questions? So there's my information. So what questions? Yes?
What if I would rather be 53 and a half to get my money?
Well, so clarify your question again. The 53 and a half threw me off.
So I don't want to wait until 73 and a half to retire. And I don't want to pay taxes.
Okay.
So this money that I have in these IRAs, do I have to invest it to be able to get it out of there without paying taxes?
Well, so you couldn't take any distributions out without paying a penalty. Okay, that penalty is in force. I know, I'm so sorry. The penalty is in force until 59 and a half, okay?
So I can wait till 59?
59, exactly, okay. Yes. So, yes, and that's when I am talking with clients and they're 50-some years old and that comes up as a topic of discussion, hey, I want to retire early. Yeah, we start planning for all of that because 59 and a half is when that would, then it's, because if you do it before then, it's a 10% penalty. Yeah, and that's not, no, I mean, nobody wants to do that. Okay. So, yeah, so after that, you know, that money is free for you to take and live on. I mean, that's what it's designed for. Yes, you've been saving and.
Right, I didn't want to have to wait till I was 73.
No. That's just I put that out there because
Assuming
that's just,
you make it that far.
Yeah.
I was thinking I'm not going to make it that far.
Yeah. Oh, no. What else?
Christine, I'm in your lane trying to get out. And so, so the penalty goes away, but what are the other disadvantages or, you know, things we should watch for if we take it out? Say, okay, I'm 59 and a half today. So if I want my money tomorrow, what other things do I need to be aware of that could happen by taking it before retirement age?
Well, I mean, the one thing that, or I would look at several things, but it's, you know, looking at how long that money needs to last. Is that your only source of income? What kind of insurance do you have in place just in case a long-term care situation came up? Because if you're looking at, you know, I see it a lot, I mean, that's a lump sum of money that you have and you say, okay, is that enough to retire? Well, that's what we would need to look at. You know, what's the, are you looking to buy a beach house in Florida and spend $1 million on it, or what, whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number, but what do you see what do you want your life to look like?
What if let's say I'm gonna sell a house and I've got $400,000 in equity that I'm gonna be converting into cash. Maybe I'm a new empty nester, right? And so I don't need the big house. I'm gonna liquidate it anyway. How do I avoid paying capital gains on an amount that would exceed the threshold, which is what, 200,000?
Yeah,
Right.
probably on that too.
250.
Yeah.
Let's say we're going to exceed that amount, right? Could those proceeds then be dumped into something like this?
Well, so they couldn't be put into an IRA.
Because I'm like Brian, I want to avoid paying any tax.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, something like an IRA wouldn't be an option just because of the working aspect of that. What I've seen, I had a client do that. She sold her house and basically we've put the money into a brokerage account and she's just going to hold it there, and she is retiring, so she is dropping into a lower tax bracket, but that is definitely a concern. And what we're going to do with her too is I'm going to work with her CPA and see, because I'm not a tax expert. There's a lot of tax questions there that I don't want to steer her wrong on. So, sure. Yeah, that's what the first thing I would do is work with the CPA to kind of see what the options are for it, because, yeah, nobody wants to pay that much taxes. So, yeah.
So I was curious, but I didn't want to stop you while you were explaining that house possibility with fixing the gutter. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Is it because is that set up with the fix and repairs? Whether it's a house, I'm guessing maybe I buy the Ferrari or whatever it is that I spend that money on, it needs to be fixed within the funds from that account. Why is that? Is that so there's no difference in appreciation versus what I've invested versus what's coming from that?
So in that case, you wouldn't buy a Ferrari. That would be a completely prohibited.
Okay.
That would be, you couldn't do that. This would be more.
I'll live in it though.
Do what?
I'll live in it though.
Yeah, okay, there. Maybe that's it. Okay, well, you couldn't do that. Yeah. So let's say.
Manufactured home.
Right.
You're right. You're going to rent it out, buy a mobile home and rent it out. So let's say you're, instead of the Ferrari, you're going to do a second house because you're going to rent it out. That's what you want to do with it, the second house. So, and the reason is because it's a commingling of funds, okay, if you think about it like that. Any expenses, and this is just a set in stone kind of thing, there's no wiggle room. Any expenses from that property that you've bought must come from the IRA, okay? It's just cut and dry. That's anything, any repair work. If you have a cleaning service come in once a week or something and clean for the tenants or something. If you have a lawn something, anything that has to be repaired or serviced or maintained, the funds must come out of the IRA. That's
And
why
you have to hire it out. So when
yes, I'm sorry, yes, and you have to
I have to hire
it.
out the person to come change the smoke alarm 9 volts.
It cannot be your brother, your child, it can't be a.
Must be the big
It has to be
construction
a
lobby.
mostly-
Yes, like a disinterested party, I think is what. Property manager, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's real important to keep those things straight. But the
Can't change light bulb. That's what I'm hearing.
you'd have to have your property manager do it. You know.
They can be on like a salary and they take care of everything. Like it doesn't mean you have to overpay because every little thing you're having a property manager come out.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It just
This
couldn't
seems
be
kinda
your
scary, like-
brother,
See where you're
spouse, cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can't use it as
But
a
a property
vacation.
manager would have to hold a real estate license.
Do they?
No.
To manage properties, you do.
Oh,
To
that
repair
part
them,
could be
no.
true.
Did you
I
have
don't
one?
know. That's a good question.
No, I
That's-
was just
that's a
gonna
question for
say-
y'all.
I've had a client that bought a rental property using his self-directed IRA, and he immediately hired a property manager who collected rents, who took care of repairs, charged a monthly fee, all of that.
Yeah, that's probably, I mean, and that's a safe way to do it. That way you don't have any commingling. Nothing gets questioned. What other questions? Anything? I'm sure there's something.
Cool.
No? Good?
I think you got
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, I'll give you back 15 minutes in your day, as they say, so.
Any other questions? Any other questions for Christine? So
No.
hopefully you have something to think about as it relates to real estate through a self-directed IRA, but also just if you would like to have a conversation with her about financial planning in general, she'd
Yeah.
be happy to have that, set that up for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you so much for coming.
everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.